boom, 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 boom. I'll break it down now. I'll break it down. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to the family. I am Temi Matroshe, and today I am bringing you guys a panel discussion. So our panelists for today are Oyama Boda, Carly Hendricks, Anita Musa, and Sipati Masango. These are phenomenal women. I'll link all of their information down below. These are women to watch. These are women who are doing incredible work. We are discussing body positivity, some of the issues around the movement, some of the issues at large that affect fat, femme, and particularly black women.
My name is Sipati, also known as Miss Gates on Instagram and social media. And I'm a skincare manufacturer, so I own my own skincare brand, which I manufacture. And I'm a plus-size model and a makeup enthusiast, and I'm currently trying to be an event coordinator as well.
I'm Carly, and I also go as Carly Hendricks on Insta. So I'm a freelancer, literally with everything: makeup, singing, modeling. I'm from Cape Town.
Hey, I'm Anita Musa. I go as Anita Musa on Instagram. I pretty much am the same as Carly, freelancing. I'm a YouTuber as well, a new mom, content creator, inverted commas, but quickly what I'm all about.
My name is Oyama Bota, and it's Oyama Bota everywhere on every social media site. I'm a master's candidate at the University of Cape Town, but I also do modeling as well and a whole lot of other things, man.
What is your understanding of body positivity?
For me, I feel that body positivity is a broad social movement. I think it's basically all about uplifting and welcoming and accepting, empowering everyone who sort of falls outside the status quo. That includes fat people, fat women, fat men, disabled people, queer people, transgender, basically everyone who society doesn't really advocate for. It's just about making everyone feel valuable and accepted in society. I guess we're trying to level the gap because, unfortunately, because of society standards, we, as a fat person, myself, we are casted outside in society, be it work-wise, education, or just a social space. So I think with this movement, we're trying to make everyone feel accommodated and welcomed and accepted.
Do you think it's important for us to have this conversation exclusively as fat, femme bodies?
I think we already don't have that much representation. For me, thinking of other people that are not femme bodies and that are, not in the body positivity chat, I feel like it would be selfish on us to not include them. So I feel like, yes, we need to work within our own group, but also we need to include other bodies. So I mean, it's a bit complex. Conversation can start somewhere.
In one of the articles I sent you guys, someone said, as soon as you think a space is inclusive enough, just know you're not doing enough. So we'll never get to a point where we can completely include everybody. That's why it's always important to be reflective of whether the situation is diverse and it includes everyone.
I tell you, when I looked at the articles, the first thing that initially popped in mind was black, and they were very much about the conversation surrounding body positivity, but in a very black form. So I was wondering to myself, okay, is this very strategic of you to have done that? But beyond that, I thought including the person that I had initially thought of, who's white, was because of what she was going to bring and not so much on the skin color itself. But like you said, it's very much about, you're never going to be very much inclusive of everyone. It's very important for us to acknowledge, like being in this space, that, okay, cool, we are all Black women.
Do you have an issue with being referred to as a fat person? And if so, why?
No, I think earlier when I started doing plus size modeling, I had an issue with it. I'll actually get people that actually tell me, go on my DM, even right now, she comments on the picture that I posted, that you fat and you're ugly and you cow. I used to be called a cow, and then it was a problem for me because I would look myself in the mirror every single time when I look at myself in the mirror, I think people will never accept my love handles. People will never accept my chubby thighs, But as time went on and I saw the likes of Boayama, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna block this out. And people comment all the time. I still get DMs of people telling me that I've got a fat ass and stuff like that. So when someone says Miss Dula, to me it doesn't matter anymore. Hey, I've moved past that word. And even some family members, you would see them after 2 weeks or a month or a year. You've gained so much weight. You're so fat. Don't eat too much. Lose your. So I just block everything out.
And speaking of blocking things out, I'll direct this to you, Anita. Are there certain words that you've decided to embrace that refer to fatness or being larger, and are there certain words that you have decided to reject?
Okay, I'm just gonna explain where I stand with the term, because I do relate to what Tepati said. I feel like for me personally, I still struggle with my relationship with the term fat. I feel like I haven't really gotten an understanding when it comes to accepting it. I still feel like it still exists in a derogatory term, in as much as we're trying to, normalize it and, make it a norm, but how do we make it different from, for instance, sex work? People have sort of used that term rather than prostitution. I guess that movement is working and people are more accommodating to that term. The same thing with the N-word, it's not considered as what it was at the beginning. I still feel like with fat, if someone were to call me fat, I doubt I can say, yes, when they say that, because I know that their meaning behind that is not anything positive. So I still feel like I'm struggling with the term. But in terms of how now we are accommodating, I guess, the culture or the idea, is terms like thick, voluptuous, curvy. I think I relate towards that. But at the same time, as a somewhat body positive sabu activist, I feel like removing myself or removing the term from myself and detaching the term fat is again contributing to the bigger issue, because if I don't want the term fat around me, I could easily, that could come off as fat phobic or what about people who are comfortable with being called fat, and then I see that as a negative thing. So I'm still sort of having a bit of a puzzled relationship with the term, but I do advocate for accepting it and normalizing it.
I think you're sharing a lot of what we also feel, in the sense that the movement requires us to be responsible and to almost be pioneers in language. So you can't necessarily say, I don't like being called fat, when a lot of people are looking up to you who identify as fat and would like to hear that as affirmation. Regarding popular culture, what kind of magazines, music videos, movies did you watch or listen to growing up that either made you feel some kind of way or, inspired you, uplifted your self-esteem?
I'm a small town girl, and a lot of people don't know that. And this means the culture that I was exposed to growing up is very different to a person who grew up in the city, because you get exposed to different things. And for me, it would mean I'd get exposed to rigorous cultures way at a way later stage. So growing up for me, I don't remember a time where I looked at magazines or I looked on the TVs and just social media and thinking to myself, oh my word, um, these people are saying a certain derogatory term about being fat. When I was exposed to such things, it was a thought of, like, I wasn't seeing myself, like I wasn't seeing my body represented in all these magazines and things that I was consuming. It was, I saw this on TV, but I wasn't seeing myself.
Have you ever been bullied or taunted in your younger ages or maybe later years as a result of your weight or your body shape or size?
So unfortunately, yes. In primary school, there were a lot of, peers of mine that looked completely like different to me, completely different. So obviously, I'm the one that stood out, and people were talking. I did like really in front of my face, but the conversation they were having in groups, it obviously got to my ear, and I mean, I became self-conscious because I hit puberty earlier than a lot of people. And I also experienced it a lot, like with families that I've like been around. But yeah, it's a sad reality that's happening, and unfortunately, it happened to me.
Do you think that there is a space for weight loss and surgery within the body positivity movement? Like, can you still say, I'm a body positive person while I support surgery, while I support people going on weight loss journeys?
So with me, I've been struggling with my weight loss, especially after giving birth. Right, because before I fell pregnant, I was very active. My main goal was always to be a size 38 or size 40. I don't want to go on size 36 or anything else, right? Then I fell pregnant because I delivered my baby at 4.5 kg, and it was a cesarean. So it was a huge tummy. And now, after giving birth, my main focus as well in terms of being a mother was actually to lose the baby fat. Someone said to me, would you do body sculpting? I'm like, yeah, but it's expensive. Like, why not? Because I've got this issue. There's nothing wrong with my thighs. I like my cellulite. I like my stretch marks. I've just got this belly fat that is hanging, and I really, 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 really need to let go of it. And every year, January, I was the first person to post, hey, I'm at gym. Hey, gym. Come March. Nah. Then I met Dr. Pert, and then we did a consultation. It's like, no, you can come through and let's talk about it. And then she gave me pointers of saying, look, you can do this, but remember, it can come back easily in just a second. And I'm getting people like, so you're losing so much weight. Aren't people that are the plus size movement, aren't they angry that you now you're not part of them? And then I said to her, there's something that I wanted to change. And I took a decision that I'm going to change it. I've not lost my identity in being a plus size girl. The only thing that I just changed is that I just went back to the original weight that I liked.
I think the most important thing you said for me is the fact that it's your body, you can do whatever you want, and you still accept yourself. You can't necessarily tell people what to do. Like, I think a huge part of body positivity is allowing people to have agency over their bodies. Since most of the body positivity messaging we get is from America, do you think there's a gap here in South Africa with like people who are for the movement and are actively speaking on it?
Just a clarification in terms of what gap are you talking about?
I think I should have said visibility. So in the stuff that I sent you guys, I highlighted a couple of women like Ozodwa Wabantu, Busiswa, Lebumashile, I think even Moonchild, but people who, Brenda Fassie, people who have been doing the work, but now, I don't know, I feel like there's just something that's quiet or there isn't much visibility around that.
Visibility is important and it pushes a message further, right? But I feel like they're doing the work by just being themselves, because I think for me, a big part of my body positivity is looking at myself in a positive way and needing that from society as well. So if I'm living positively and living my life as I want and have autonomy to do what I want to do with my body. And if one or two girls are going to see that and be inspired by that, then for me, that's enough, you know. As for like your Lebu Masiles and your Zodwa Wabantus, I don't think they actively need to say, hey guys, I am a body positive activist. Look at me, I'm going to inspire you. Like for me, that hasn't been the message that I've been getting from them or be needing from people. I think for me, what is important is people just being themselves and you seeing that.
I'm not necessarily discounting what you're saying, because I thoroughly agree. Especially when you're saying that there are people, and I guess them just being is enough of representation. But I still also feel like it's fair to question more visibility. I mean, in what Tembi is asking, which is to question the visibility, I do feel like in South Africa, we haven't really even touched base level. Again, I'm not discounting that there is work that has been done, but I feel like we are, especially if we're going to compare to America, which in this instance, I don't feel like we can. In America, they're monetizing from the movement. Why aren't we? Like, why aren't there talk shows? Why aren't there movies? Why aren't there magazines? Like, I feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Oh, like Zodwa Aba. Yes, they exist, but I do feel like they're being silenced. There isn't much accommodation and acceptance when it comes to people who are just free and open and plus size.
I saw a picture from Generations in like the early 2000s, and it had like all our faves, Okarabo, Clio, and what stuck out to me was that Queen at the time was actually very average size. I wouldn't even consider her as plus sized. But if you guys remember the language that was used around Queen's, not even character on Generations, but her as Sofindaba was always around her weight, her being plus size. And what I took from that was that there was a lack of representation and a lack of access and a lack of opening the industry for plus size women. Do you think there's space in the body positivity movement for vulnerability, for being ashamed, for not feeling positive about yourself?
I think it goes back to, kind of defining what body positivity is. So what I think it is, it's kind of like a state of mind, self-love, accepting yourself. And I feel like that itself will just ooze out into other like groups of people. And if we as plus size women or fat women make that space open for other groups, it will allow us to not just have a conversation about body positivity, but also face the reality of us, going through this process of becoming comfortable, creating conversations within groups that allow people to not point out only the great moments, us being different, but also understanding that being a plus size woman comes with a lot of shame sometimes, comes with a lot of insecurities, and it plays out in our lives in different spaces with different people. I feel like if we, have that whole conversation with everything included, it will make, it will open the space for people to become vulnerable.
Do you think you can say anything regarding, how to maintain a body positive stance or a love stance or self-care during this lockdown, during this pandemic?
Look, I remember very well when lockdown started. I was like, I'm not going to drink for 21 days. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to eat anything that, And then I said, hey guys, let's start 1,000-day skips, so that we don't get bored, because we are literally going to be inmates, in our own homes. We are going to be depressed at some moment. We are going to feel like you want to eat amakwini, you want to eat the wonk. And when we started the movement, I would see a lot of ladies starting to join the movement of saying, yes, you can do exercises during the day, in the evening, in the morning. And then it went very well. And then came the president with another extension to not being 21 to 35 days. And I was depressed because I love drinking. And I'm like, I didn't stock anything. I don't have anything. What? Like 21 days. Like it was supposed to be like 21 days, then we back to normality. And I remember that week, it was a depressing week, but I didn't show it on my social media. I've created that environment of saying, I'm having live videos, we are doing our own live parties on Instagram, I have my own wine, and I've got a face beat, because that's what I'm used to. So I've decided to do that, and it's helped me a lot to say, see, buddy, don't worry, you don't have to stay in your PJs the whole day. You don't have to be a couch potato and eat. You can do that, but just try to wake up and do something different, because I also suffer from anxiety attacks. So I just wake up in the night and I'm thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow? You know, and I feel stressed about it. So me waking up and cooking and doing these live shows and doing makeup tutorials has really taught me that, you know what, we're in a situation as a country, but I will not allow that situation to actually give me stress and to give me mental breakdown.
I'm a singer. I obviously try to incorporate music in my everyday life. So when I wake up, I'm listening to music. When I'm showering, I'm listening to music, or I'm watching YouTube videos, just so that I can feel energized. And one thing, actually, I make sure that I make up my bed every morning when I wake up, so that I don't become lazy. And I try to get myself into this routine of like doing things I would do regardless of lockdown. So I would get dressed, I would do my makeup, I would go outside, I would chill, I would take pictures, I would take videos, and because I'm a YouTuber, I would, film. So for me, it's just like doing things the way they were done before lockdown, but also doing things that I love.
I've noticed like there has been a lot of emphasis on being overly productive. And I think that has really affected a lot of people, especially if you're not really not an able person to be able to do some activities that people are doing. And we know that consuming what you consume on social media can have an effect on what you do and how you feel about yourself. And I've tried to like move away from that, or mute accounts that have such an effect of you need to get up, 7-day workout, eat clean, this is your time to be your best self, write notes, tell yourself you love yourself every day. Like for me, I was just like, no, really, this time it doesn't have to be about that. And encouraging my audience, like if you feel like this is your time to finally rest. I think for some of us also, it's a time for self-reflection. Be in bed if you want to. Eat that cake, be that couch potato if you want to. And it's okay, and knowing that it's okay. And obviously doing the little bit that you can do within that specific day, and not pressurizing yourself. I mean, exercise there and there, not even pressurizing myself, because obviously you can't deny the benefits that it has for your body.
Do you think that there are certain bodies that are plus size that are more palatable or more uplifted than others? And if so, how would you relate this to your guys' careers as influencers, people who work in the media, models?
I remember there was this influencer slash entrepreneur who is an influencer and a plus size model, and she has the clothing line, and she was looking for ambassadors. And I tried to sign up, and she was like, "You're not big enough," And at that point, I was like, "Hey, well, Gandhi, what are we saying? Because I consider myself a plus size. I look like a plus size, but how then am I not big enough?" But then in the same breath, from what we see now in the influencer plus size modeling environment, there's a lot of a particular type of body and size. I think within the movement, there's a lot of inclusivity in terms of size and shape. The image that is being sold is a very hypersexualized image. It's always about how good you can look in a bikini, how good you could look in lingerie. I think for me, if we are being body positive, I don't think it should just be about that. I know that, again, I'm not discounting that some people are challenging this, and that's great work. I do feel like representation is there to a great extent, but there is a very profitable, marketable image and size. I definitely feel like we need to do a bit of work in terms of that.
Regarding what Anita said about like hypersexualization, bikinis, lingerie, do you think as a movement we should be doing more than encouraging people to look sexy and confident. Do you think there's more work to be done outside of that?
We as like a movement, or the body positivity movement, I think we, like Anita said, we are hypersexualized, right? And I feel like that's only how we are seen. We are not seen in other, forms. Because like I basically challenge that narrative. Like I don't want to just be seen in underwear and be like, sexualized, and try to show other people that, listen, I'm a plus size woman, but I can still look beautiful in my own way, the same as like any other woman can, look. And also I feel like when we talk about these things, we need to also include queer bodies, like disabled bodies, So if we can move past that, people would then, stop hypersexualizing us, or maybe hopefully get to that point. And there would be many opportunities and visibility in the media for not only plus size femme bodies, but other plus size bodies.
When I was growing up, I never had young women like us who were on these platforms having these kinds of conversations. And I would like to have heard some of the things we're saying. So what would each of you guys say to that young girl or young boy or whoever is out there who's at like a very early stage of their life?
When you asked that question, it really took me back to when the time where I first got my period, and the conversation around it was because you grew boobs earlier, that's what's going to happen. So I then started, I remember there was a time where my grandmother or someone's grandmother said, if you hit your boobs with a broom, that they were going to go back. So I did that in thinking that, okay, it's going to delay that process. So I remember during that process how much I didn't like myself, because obviously it was a feeling of feeling excluded compared to your peers. And this is obviously back in primary, and those are the very important times that I feel like every young woman or young person or teenager has to be installed some sort of affirmation. And I think what I would have loved to see at that point, or to hear, is exactly the message that we are giving to people, and the representation that we are allowing these young boys and young girls to see, that, you know what, your existence is enough, and you don't need, even if you're being told by people you shouldn't be this way, that you should be comfortable within yourself, and that there should be enough affirmation, even coming from families. There should be so much affirmations coming from families, especially Black families. As young mothers, even for Usipati and Anita, like installing those values and being very intentional about affirming your young kids.
I would kind of affirm myself at that point, because I was very young when I was told that like I'm fat or I'm not as beautiful, So I wish, or I would tell myself, listen, it's okay, be kind to yourself. You are different, but you are not different to the point, or completely different to the point where you need to tell, or where you need to dislike yourself. It shouldn't get to that point. And to any like kid out there, or any person that is very much aware of themselves, that for me, I always preach the idea of being kind to yourself, but at the same time be patient with yourself, because the process of loving yourself takes time.
First of all, it is what it is, Ndase. Like, I feel like if for me, as the younger me, if you are fat, that is okay. If you are beautiful, that is okay. I feel like from what I grew up hearing and seeing, there was too much emphasis on body and shape and size. I just feel like if when I was a little girl, if people stopped first seeing my size or what I looked like, I would have been a much more confident person. I would have loved myself more. I don't want to ever be in a situation where my daughter walks into the room and all I have to comment is basically dissect her body and things like that. I just feel like as a child, you should be seen outside of your physique. You should be seen outside of what you look like, what size and shape you are, because there are so many damaging and crazy experiences that we have had as young plus size women. I remember always feeling older because I was a bigger girl, always feeling like, even though I'm with my cousins who I am the same age as them, but I always felt like mama wabo or something. Like I always felt like I was an older person. So for my daughter, let me say, I'm not going to place emphasis on that, because if she is fat, like I said, it is what it is. She's perfectly fine. She's perfectly healthy. I'm happy with that, and I don't feel there shouldn't be a need to. Even if she decides to be skinny, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. That is what her life and her body is. I'm happy with that. So I feel like for me, with young people, let's leave bodies, let's leave sizes. I feel like, especially look at Black community as our parents, I feel like when you walk into the room, your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, you're big, you're skinny, you're fat. I just feel like, stop doing that to children. Stop that. And even the beauty thing is sometimes not as helpful as it should be, because one aunt will say, yo, you know, like the beauty aspect is more of a compensation for the fat. Because now, okay, she's fat, but she's still pretty. Let people be what they want to be. Let kids look the way they want to look. And then when they're older, like they'll have surgery and live their best lives and do whatever they want with themselves.
I would say to a young person to just love yourself. I mean, I wish somebody told me. I think I needed to hear it from someone else. More especially, look, my mom has always been big, but when she got married, she was very tiny, you know. And to be honest, she used to say, "You are the same weight that I was when I got married, and you are now." And now I'm old, and so how you're going to be so big, you know? She used to say that until she accepted that I'm a plus size model. Until her friends called her and told her, Sipati's posting bikinis on Instagram. Sipati's showing people her bums on Instagram. And I told her, like, no, this is my life. And now she has accepted everything. When somebody calls her, she's a bishop at the church. When people call, it's like, tell me something about Sipati, then we'll talk. Like, Sipati is Sipati, you know. And I wish then I would have had a mom that said, you are beautiful. Like, I love how you have gradually grown, you know. She just accepted the whole movement later, you know, when I accepted it. But I would have told myself that, Sipati, you're beautiful. Cellulite, no stretch mark, those are your stripes, those are your battles, and no one else can ever tell you about them.
So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. First of all, I'm so grateful to all of these phenomenal women who joined the discussion. I know everyone has various responsibilities. I know everyone has various schedules, commitments, so it's very difficult to get people to sit down and have such an in-depth discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments, how you felt about some of the issues that we discussed, and let me know if you'd like to see more of these Zoom kind of collaborations.